isn't paid by the exporter. China's not going to pay the tariff. The buyer is going to pay the tariff.
Donald Trump has proposed a 40% tariff, which is a tax on all of you. I think raising your taxes by 40% would kill jobs all across this country.
Taxing European car imports hurts BMW because they can do the same thing to us. China wins when we fight with Europe.
Now with a 10% tariff laid down, who pays that tariff? The American workers and the American companies pay the brunt of all those.
I hope that our administration is looking at ways to expand and grow opportunities for American businesses and farmers and ranchers, and not get us into this tit-for-tat trade war with some of these countries.
From our Republicans.
Jim Schultz and Van Lathan join us at the table. Congressman Khanna, do you think that this is actually going to go anywhere? Or Republicans, like many of those who were correct in their assessment then, are going to actually say, actually, I don't think we can take a chance on this one?
Not right now. I mean, in candor, I mean, you don't have enough Republicans speaking out. But if the markets continue to go the way they're going, then you may find suddenly Republicans having a little bit more courage. So I think there are people who are concerned in private, but they're going to give it a little more time.
We're also, it's kind of like a split screen situation for Americans, depending on what they're watching in the media. Over on Fox, where a lot of conservatives get their news, here is how they tried to cope, I guess, with this today. Listen.
I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? I believe in this man.
The last thing we want to focus on right now is the stock market.
Who's complaining? Wall Street. Too bad.
I don't care what the initial reactions are.
This is the great deal maker, the great negotiator.
I would argue that we should see it as a potential restructuring of the American spirit.
The American public have been making a huge mistake to watch the stock market.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
Okay. Having a bit of a hard time there. To be fair, I'm not worried about Janine Pirro's 401k either. Many other Americans are worried about theirs.
It's still a snapshot in time, right? And Democrats criticized this president in the last term time and time again for saying that, he only was concerned about Wall Street. He was only concerned about the stock market. Now they're turning around and using the stock market against him. Now they're the ones that care about the stock market. And he's the one actually fighting for the towns in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Indiana and Ohio. Those places in the blue wall states where you have working class Americans, you have union members in those states. The unions are supporting this, especially the auto workers.
I don't think that the American people would actually agree with you on that. There have been 18 races so far in this year, and 17 Democrats have won 17 out of the 18 races. There is a feeling around the country that Donald Trump is not fighting for them. And I think that if you have Republicans in hardline districts right now looking at these tariffs where prices are going to go up, you're worried. You're a little bit worried that what is this going to look like for the midterm elections? So I actually think that as much as Donald Trump might try to say he's fighting for the working person, they're not feeling it, and that's a problem for him.
I'm going to say something on this show that I'm not sure I've heard anyone say before. I was wrong. When Donald Trump won, I thought that 75, 80 million Americans were all captured by the MAGA cult and that they would go along with whatever President Trump said. And I was wrong. There are a lot of people who voted very purely and clearly on the fact that they were experiencing economic distress and they wanted that economic distress to come to an end. I'm hearing from these people. I'm hearing from brothers who believed not in all of the social things or the rhetoric or the religious part of who Donald Trump is, but in the actuality, in their minds, that Donald Trump was a whiz businessman that was going to fix the American economy. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. They did not vote for harder times. And the reality is, as much spin as can be done on any network, it is going to be, in my opinion, irreparable harm done to the president's reputation if people experience a tremendous amount of pain, even in the short term, from the tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, a tremendous amount of harm done to his reputation, but also, I need to correct the record, because I feel like I hear a lot of conservatives talking about, oh, the last time when Trump was in office, he put in those tariffs and everything was fine. Okay, here is JP Morgan talking about what happened the last time when he put in those tariffs. Steel tariffs created about 1,000 jobs for steelmakers who were protected by tariffs. They reduced employment by 75,000 in steel-using industries such as autos and construction as prices rose and sales fell. Similarly, in all industries affected by Trump's tariffs, duties boosted factory employment by 0.4%, but reduced payrolls by 2% because of overall costs rising and retaliatory
By the way,
tariffs. It costs jobs to raise prices.
By the way, there's something else to pay attention to when you're looking at the job creation from the tariffs in the first Trump administration, the price per job. When you look at some of the jobs that were created, you're paying, in one case, like $815,000 per job for the jobs that were created because of the costs that are offset by the tariffs themselves. So it's not a great way of job creation. It's very costly to the American public to do it that way.
You know what's sad about this is 90,000 factories did shut down in America since 2000. And Trump said there's a hole in the ship. And that's one of the reasons he won. And to Van's point, people thought he's a business guy. He's going to fix this. And he's going to disappoint those towns. He's going to disappoint those people who've been betrayed for the last 40 years because this isn't going to help improve their lives. And there's going to be more disillusionment in this country and more anger that their lives aren't changing. And that, to me, is the saddest part of all of this.
Well, I think what is true today was true for Joe Biden and every other president that came before either of these two guys. If people feel like their economic trajectory is on the upswing, they will give you political leash. And if they feel like their own trajectory is on the downswing, they will punish you. You go back to Ronald Reagan, and he even though there were hard times in that first Reagan term, people felt like the country was getting back on the right track. They were willing to give him time because they believed in his program. They believed in the confidence that Reagan was projecting about America. That's what Trump has to do here. To the people that you think are going to be impacted in the short term, and they may well be, and Trump has acknowledged that, he has to make them believe that the long-term implications for this and their communities is worth it, even if they're experiencing a little short-term pain. So the political implication, Abby, I think, all goes on to the trajectory. Do you feel like things
is he gonna give us some money while we waiting?
And that's his. That is the
no.
It also has to be true, because at the end of the day, if people start losing their jobs, which some of them will, this is going to end badly for Trump. Soon, rhetoric is not going to do anything about that. I just want to play what one car dealer said earlier this morning, just about what's ahead for his business, pretty much immediately.
The cost is going to get passed to the consumer. There's no doubt about that. There's nothing we can do about that. I can't eat the cost. No matter what, all of us are going to sell less cars. And then we have to make hard decisions. So that's laying people off. That's cutting vendors out. That's reducing our inventories and not ordering as many cars. All these things, to me, are negative impacts to the economy.
But I think